My goal for the new year is to eat healthy and create a lifestyle that includes a fitness regimen that will work for me and one that I can finally stick to. Let's face it, we all have unfinished goals, and whether they are health, fitness, relationship, or finance goals, they can simply be daunting. Today, we're going to talk about how it's never too late to reset your life and accomplish your goals. No matter how far off track life seems to be, we all need the courage to start anew. Whether you are in need of a small change or a big reset, today we will provide you some tools and encouragement to help you make the change and work towards making your goals become a reality. Today's show is a reminder for all of us to get off the treadmill of life, hit the pause button, and make a plan for getting where we want to be. Let's get started. Hello, I'm Lisa Bien, and welcome to Bouncing Back.
God makes a way.
Be honest and communicate.
Your authentic self. That's
so critical. Welcome back to Bouncing Back. Today we're going to talk with Jacqui Phillips, who is the co-host of the Reset radio and digital show, and she is the author of a children's series and adventures, Stushy and Bello, allowing her to share her message of love and kindness with children all over the world. Her book, Reset 6, I must say, is a bestseller, tackles 6 categories: health and fitness, relationships, finances, emotions, appearance, and faith. She will share today how she went from bankrupting a business, failing in relationships, gaining weight, and losing her health, to recreating not only herself, but also creating a life that turned all that pain into purpose. Jacqui's mission in life is to inspire others to be the best versions of themselves. As a certified life coach, she encourages others to break those shackles in their lives so they can live their divine and unique purpose. Jacqui's an accomplished entrepreneur, an alumni member of the Association of Women Investors and Entrepreneurs, and certified master business coach. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm beyond excited to have you as a guest on my show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
It's awesome.
I was very excited to meet you.
Likewise. So let's start with, why don't you tell us where you want to start? What, you wrote the children's books, and you wrote Reset, and I love Reset. I read it myself.
Thank you.
Tell us, how did you know it was time to reset your life? When did you wake up one day and say, got to reset my life?
I literally woke up, and I do talk about it in the book Reset. One day, everything was just terrible. Everything was pretty much rock bottom at this point. My businesses, were failing or gone. Everything I worked for in all those years.
Just for everybody who's watching, how many years ago would you say that was?
6 years ago.
Okay, so 6 years ago, you wake up, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but 6 years ago you woke up and you said, nothing's working in my life.
No. And I knew it. We get these feelings, and we're on, I say it in the book, it's our GPS system. It's God's GPS system. When we have all these feelings and we know better, and, we call them red flags.
Right.
But
so I think that's an important thing to talk about, when we know better, right?
We know better.
And oftentimes we all know better.
We feel it.
But we do
it anyway.
But we do it anyway.
We
exactly
do it anyway.
Right. So how did you decide enough is enough? I don't want to keep doing it anyway.
I woke up one day and I really, literally heard this lion roar inside of me. And I thought, my gosh, what has my life become? On the outside, I looked like I had a magnificent life. I worked in television, I toured with musicians, I lived in a beautiful home,
What's the expression? Everything that sparkles is not really.
Yeah, it was so dark. And, I heard this lion roar and I thought, everything is a mess. I'm over 40 pounds overweight. I'd never been heavy in my life. I was out of shape. And I really just wanted to die because I couldn't imagine, and I don't say that lightly, it's really true, because I thought, I am in such a mess. How am I going to get myself out of this? There was just too many facets of the mess, hence the 6 categories in my book that I talk about, because I reset all those categories. And so I thought, I'd always been an athlete, and I said, if I can just get rid of this weight that's on me, which I knew was spiritual weight, because our spiritual weight that we gain is all the things that happen to us, those things that people speak over you, that they tell you, that you believe, maybe the financial problems you're having. It starts to pow on you, and you like kind of feel like you have like a piano on you.
A piano on your chest. So you're saying that there's 2 kinds of weight. There's like that spiritual weight that in turn makes us hold on to some of our...
Well, we walk around heavy. So for me, it manifested physically, and hence the 40 pounds, overweight that I was. But a lot of us, maybe we get migraines, maybe we lose weight, maybe we lose our hair. It does manifest physically.
In some way.
It's just different for each person. For me, it was physical weight. And I thought, if I can get my body back, and it didn't mean I needed to look like I did when I was like a 20-year-old,
Well, you are 20
person.
now, right?
Yeah. But it meant feeling strong and having that energy to tackle those things I needed to tackle. And I knew that a lot of things would fall off because of it, and that meant people. And it was very...
How did you know that?
Because I knew I had the wrong people in my life, and I knew that I had taken a really bad turn somewhere. And even though I love those people, they weren't encouraging me to grow. They were keeping me stuck, or I was losing it. I was losing it.
Isn't that such a scary feeling, though, when you wake up and you're like, oh God, like every area of your life that you look at is not working. It's completely overwhelming. Then you have to be brave enough to admit to yourself that I have the wrong people in my life.
Yes.
Then you have to be brave enough to want to make a change, right?
And I want to encourage people who are watching, when we do start to make change, you're going to have a lot of naysayers. You're going to have people that don't encourage you. For instance, these little children's books I write, I have a series. I have, at this moment, there'll be 8 books out soon. Okay?
That's amazing.
And within like a little
accomplishment.
bit over a year. Thank you.
That's
Thank
a
you.
huge accomplishment.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. But I mean, that's all God, because that's just coming through me, and I know I'm supposed to share love and kindness, and I have a couple songs that I wrote now, and so I give him the glory for all that, because yes, I mean, it's my message and all that, but it's coming from somewhere else, because I'm totally not that cool. But with that being said, when you're going through a reset and you have all this spiritual weight on you, these kinds of things aren't going to happen, because you're not going to be able to be a conduit to creativity, So as I started writing the books, I had someone who was very close to me say, what are you doing? You have no life direction. You're writing these kids' books, you're hosting shows, you're doing makeup on celebrities, and you're writing Reset. Like, no one's going to take you seriously. And I was like, well, if something's coming through me so easily, and it's about sharing love and kindness, I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. So my point of sharing that story with your students, your audience, is that when we have gifts, we should share them. And if someone can't see themselves doing something, a lot of times they can't see you doing it. And they're not going to encourage you. They're going to try to push that down, because it's going to make them uncomfortable. So the more you reset, the healthier you get, the happier and more joyful. People are going to try to put that down, because it's going to make them uncomfortable. And that's when those are people you have to lose. Because some people love you in your pain, but they don't want to love you in your glory. And that is not a real friend.
And that's a hard life lesson to learn.
It's awful.
And I think that, unfortunately, we are taping this show right now on a college university, and there's a lot of competition in a college environment, and sometimes you meet people, that you believe are truly your friend and truly want what's best for you, and then you wake up one day and you go, why is that person telling me I can't do it? The person should be, the voice that I need to hear is that I can do it. So, but we're still simplifying it a lot. We're
Yeah.
still, you still had a lot going on.
I had tons
and
going on.
You decided to tackle first.
So
your
first
weight,
I tackled my fitness and
your
health.
fitness and health. So just give us an example of something that you do on a regular basis to help for someone who maybe is watching right now and saying, man, I want to lose 20 pounds. How can I do it?
So I lift weights. I eat very clean. And for me, it's a lot of protein.
I was going to say, what does that mean? I hear about clean eating all the time, and I'm like, does that mean I have to wash my vegetables really good? Like, I don't know.
An extra spin.
An extra spin. Well, you know what? We're going to take a break right here, and we will continue our conversation with Bouncing Back when we come right back. Welcome back. We're talking about bouncing back from unfinished goals today. And we left off with talking about fitness and eating clean. So we were kind of joking about eating clean, but we do want to eat clean. So you started going to the gym. You still go to the gym quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I went this morning.
And you eat.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going later today. Do I get points for that?
Absolutely. No, I noticed that it does help my mood more than anything. And it helps like my brain and the clarity. It just makes me just a much nicer person.
So you started, we were talking a little bit during the break that it seems we're making it sound so easy. You have all these things and we just want to reset our life. We were talking about her book, her new book that's out, Reset. I want to make sure everyone sees it.
Thank you.
And I was asking if you could give our viewers some tips, some things that maybe that, you did. I think you mentioned a thermometer of your emotions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So first of all, you want to admit that you need a reset. That's the hardest thing to do. And you need to face what you're dealing with. For me, I was dealing with all 6 categories.
At once, which is daunting.
Once. Okay. Daunting. I'd often thought, did God forget about me? Because, when you're going through so much, but, I still had a roof over my head. I still had a good job, all that stuff. You're like, well, I shouldn't really ask for anything. There's people with way worse problems. But the truth are, all our problems are important.
I would thank you for saying that.
Thank
you for saying the truth is very much that we all have problems and we all have issues at different points of our life, and we all need our friends and support and books or whatever it takes to help you. I wrote a book. I've written 2 books myself, and I recently read a book and I called somebody and I said, oh my God, I think this book changed my life because it validated what I was going through. So books, friends, whatever you need, we're all going through stuff. We can all use extra support.
But you want to write down your goals. You want to write down your problems. I have workbook exercises in my book. I have thermometers. So you can basically, as each category starts, you can rate where you are and where you want to go. Because certainly not everyone needs to reset all 6 categories. I did, I was a hot mess, but not everyone is. So you want to focus on what is the one thing that you can reset and you can be successful at. Because if you're really, really out of shape, you may not want to say, I'm going to do a marathon in 3 months. That's not possible. It is just not possible. So you want to set attainable goals. You want to be accountable for them. And you want to succeed at them. Because then it's going to give you like excitement and motivation, and then you're going to want to keep going through your other resets.
And
very important.
It's interesting you say that, because then you're going to want to go through your other resets. What's also going to happen, and this is just a theory I have. Let me know if you agree. We start losing weight, we start looking good, we start feeling good about ourselves, and lo and behold, not everybody's happy about that.
No.
So you're going to start resetting some of your relationships.
Totally. Relationships are so important in your reset. I would say they're the most important thing. Your relationships, your emotions, especially how you feel about yourself, because you're going to need the strength to reset those relationships. But you can't have negative influence around you, because it's just going to put you back in that reset.
Well, and what I find so interesting about when we talk about resetting ourselves and getting into a healthy relationship with yourself is that sometimes people are so used to the negative feelings that they have in their life. They're so used to that weight. It's almost like when you wake up in the morning and you look and you're trying to put your dress on and your dress doesn't fit anymore, right? It just doesn't fit. It's too tight. Sometimes friends don't fit your life either, and you have to be able to recognize when that's happening. But you also have to be able to recognize, which I think is your book does a great job, is when is it time to be true to yourself, and how are you kind to yourself?
Well, one thing I talk about a lot is that I want people, when they read my book, I want them to bloom. And what bloom stands for is believe love of ourselves matters, because we don't. And so all the reasons we need a reset is because we don't believe that love of ourselves matters. So that is the first way to become kind to yourself, is by starting to love yourself, so into yourself. Like, if I can encourage anything for your audience and your students, is so into yourself, so into your gifts, so into your interests, your studies, bettering yourself. Keep your body healthy. The healthier your body is, the more your brain is working. You know, the better your relationships are going to be. Because when we feel good about ourselves, we project that on others. But when we don't feel good about ourselves, we project that on others.
That is so true.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about your relationship with yourself, or making
Yes.
obtainable goals. So you decided, all right, I'm going to get back in shape. So you lost your weight.
I did vision boards. I still, to this day, only when people, like, if I know someone's coming over, I take them down because they'll think I'm a weirdo. But I have Post-it notes. I'm a Post-it note queen. They're all over on my desk, and I put them on the mirror in places to remind myself what my goals are, because I constantly have new goals.
Right, because we're constantly evolving.
We're constantly growing. Yes.
So I did want to also talk about some of your financial, some of your financial issues related, because you have overcome so very much.
Yes.
And you're such an inspiration to me and to anybody
Thank
who reads your
you.
book.
Thank you.
And people watching the show, they're going to get a lot of good stuff from this. And it feels good to know that you, me, and everybody has had to reset their life at one time or another, right? So talk a little bit about your financial reset and how you went about that, because sometimes that can be so daunting that it leaves everything else on the side.
Well, that is the daunting thing, and that is why people have these suicidal thoughts and they suffer from such severe depression, because sometimes there's no way out. And so for me, I say it, in Reset, pause, and I prayed, and then I proceeded. And that was very important, because in the pause, that's such a gift sometimes, because you have that moment to figure some things out. So what I did was I looked at all my debt, and God was there, a lot of it. And so for years, I put off bankrupting the business, because I just felt like such a failure. I had put everything in the business. All my friends got married, had families. I never did. The business was my baby. That didn't happen for me, yet.
Right.
So, so it was like double whammy, So what I did was I looked, what can I pay off? What can I do? And I sought advice. And I
was
went
waiting
to a
for that.
lawyer.
Did you seek
I
professional
seeked-
advice?
yes.
Because I'm always telling
Yes.
people, you have to know what you don't know.
Yes, a lot of people too. I talked to people that were on Wall Street that I worked with at work, which is super embarrassing, but what was I going to do? Because I really couldn't afford to just start seeing all these different people.
But you say embarrassing, and I say smart.
Well, I think it is now, but
Right.
then I didn't.
So
'cause
maybe
I was
maybe the
ashamed.
point is part of resetting is a little bit of humbling yourself and
Yeah.
kind of getting your ego out of your own way.
Yep.
Not that yours was, but I think
it was.
we all get to a point in our life where we're like, well, we know we need help, but we're too prideful to ask for help. A student might need help, but they're not going to call their mom and dad and say, I
No.
need help, but they
And
really
I
should.
was terrible like that.
So God wanted you to learn the lesson that it was okay to ask for help. So you go to all these financial guys and they give you all the best advice,
Yep.
which, by the way, you're pretty lucky you had that.
And a woman I worked with, she's a wonderful CEO, and everyone said the same thing. Get rid of that business. And then I started thinking of strategies. So it was like, first, I knew after, it was like 3 years. Then I finally said, okay, I'll bankrupt the business. But I had a lot of personal debt because I signed off on a lot of things.
So you struggled for 3 years with
Yeah.
knowing that the business wasn't thriving. So it took you 3 years. So I'm
Well,
glad
1 year, after 1 year that it closed, it was 2 other years. that I did that hamster wheel.
Right. The reason I want to have this conversation is because I want people who are watching to really understand that it's not.
Oh, it's not overnight.
It's not overnight.
No.
It's not an easy task.
No.
It's hard work. It's dedication.
It is.
And
it's awful.
It's awful when you're going through it.
When you're going through it. I moved out of my apartment. I rented it out. I lived with a friend. I paid her rent, but very little rent, compared to what my mortgage and all that stuff was. And I decided, like, where can I cut costs? What can I do? And how can I reset everything and get out of debt? And I mean, I had a lot of debt, and I didn't have help. My business partners, they didn't help me. And
so look at you today, though, right?
now
So
I'm free. But you have to give up everything to get everything sometimes. And I say that a lot. You give up everything to get everything because you want your freedom. Isn't that the most important thing?
You want your emotional freedom? Is that what you're saying?
You want all of the freedom. Freedom meaning emotional freedom, freedom of choices, not having the piano on your chest.
That piano can be pretty heavy sometimes.
And until I found my freedom, none of the creative gifts came through me. I was very stuck. And everything I was trying to do, there would be I would get so close, and then it would be like a concrete wall would come up. And I knew it was because I had to clear out all this stuff.
And you certainly have done what I would say a pretty amazing job. I'm in
Thank
awe
you.
of you.
Thank you.
I am just so happy that you were here
Thank
today
you.
on the show. I just want to thank my guest, Jacqui Phillips, for sharing her very personal story and remind everybody that it's never too late to follow your dreams or reset your life. It's about making this decision to make that change. Remember, the only person who can truly make any change in your life is you. Once you truly believe in yourself, the rest of your life will totally fall into place. When you're ready to make that change, I promise you, you will. And until then, please remember to be kind to yourself. Treat yourself like your own best friend. Once again, I'm Lisa Bien, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Bouncing Back. Hello, I'm Lisa Bien, and welcome to Bouncing Back.
God makes a way.
Be honest and communicate.
Be your authentic self.
That's so critical.